So maybe you can just start by telling us your name and what community you're from.
Okay. I'm Melissa Rogers. My maiden name is Kissoon. I'm from Inuvik, Northwest Territories, and I'm part of the Northern Game Society.
Can you tell us a bit about how you got started with the Northern Games Society?
I got started as a participant at a very, very young age. I was 2.5 years old, and I won a jigging contest at Sam School Gymnasium with my partner. He was 3 years old, and we won my first of many gold medals in my lifetime of dancing, and then my mom got involved with the Northern Games, and I worked alongside with her as a little girl, watching her. And as I got older, my aunts, my uncles, and everybody else started getting involved. So I started learning to volunteer at a young age, get involved with my community, and also participating in the games and the dancing and helping out. And eventually, I became a part of the society, and I just went from there.
I know that volunteering is a really big part of the Northern Games. It's part of the values of the games. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Volunteering is a big part of the games. If it wasn't for the volunteers, we wouldn't have the games. You know, volunteers are an essential part of Northern Games. We can always use a volunteer in any aspect of the games. You don't need any skill to volunteer. You just have to be willing to do.
Do you have to be an athlete to volunteer?
No, you don't have to be an athlete. You can be anybody from off the street, and you can come and volunteer. We're always looking for volunteers.
Who are some of your role models in the Northern Games?
In the Northern Games would be my auntie, my late auntie, Delma Kissoon. She was an influential part of the Northern Games. She was an official, a coach. Also my Uncle Jerry, you know, he's a big part of our community. He's an ambassador for Inuvik and the Northwest Territories. My mom, there's a lot of people, Edward Lenny, Nellie Cornier, all of them that helped shape the Northern Games to what it is today. And I remember Edward always saying it's up to the young people. So now it's up to us to continue on with these games and to really make sure that we focus on the youth. And we remember those past people that have, you know, paved the way for us, that have instilled all of those skills into us to make sure that we run these games.
Good job, Janelle.
Can you tell us a little bit more about your Auntie Delma?
My Auntie Delma was born October 15th, 1959.
Janelle's father is Jim
She was the
Yavik,
fifth child
and
born
her
to my
mother
grandparents,
is,
Victor and Bertha
Dana
Allen.
Lithia.
She became
Welcome
involved
back
in the
home,
Northern
Janelle.
Games at a very young age. Her mentors were Nellie Cornier, Edward Lenny.
Janelle.
They helped her along the way, and
Solid,
she started
Janelle,
volunteering
solid,
in any
good
way,
job.
anywhere that she was
Okay,
needed,
let's
and she
move on
eventually
to
became a
our,
coach, an official.
1930
She
male.
had a group of athletes that she helped train and coach.
1930 male
Some of them were
airplane.
Matthew Anakina, Craig Grubin, Kyle Kaptana, Katie Smith, Mika McDonald out of Fort Smith. She trained them, she worked with them, she brought them all over the place to Fairbanks, Alaska, to the Arctic Winter Games, to the Canada Summer Games. And youth and Arctic sports was her specialty. She was known to recruit her family and friends and get them involved into the games. She was often recruiting her nieces to come and work alongside with her, and she just had her own unique way of doing things and being her. And she'd get us to be her statisticians and write down the scores or whatever. And one time I was helping her out, and an event was about to start. I think it was the 1 foot high kick or 2 foot high kick, and her athlete, she was getting them ready and giving them a pep talk, I guess. And I was like, I kind of need a piece of paper. So she pulled out a Northern receipt from her pocket, and she said, here, write on this. And that was just her. Anything she wrote on, she never wasted a piece of paper. And the Mackenzie River took her and her 7-year-old daughter and my grandfather in 2008. And that left a big, huge impact on our family. And it's 15 years ago, actually, to this day that we lost them. And for many years, I kind of stayed away from Northern Games, from stuff that reminded me of her. And then just people kept talking to me, like her close friends, my family members, and saying her legacy needs to still be alive. You need to keep her legacy going. So that was why it was very important for me to be here this weekend, is to carry on that legacy that she left with us. She was a very, very huge part of the Northern Games, and a very beautiful person inside and out. She was the mother to three beautiful children. She has a grandchild to this day. She worked at the courthouse. She had so many friends. Anybody that she came in contact with were her friends. She actually helped one of our committee members get involved with the Northern Games, Billy Lenny. She really shaped Billy into the Northern Games, and it was her passion, the Northern Games. It was something she looked forward to every year.
What does that legacy mean to you?
To me, it's important because if we don't carry on her legacy, I'm afraid she'll be forgotten. And she left, like I said, left such a huge impact, not only in our family, but to everybody who knew her. And still to this day, 15 years later, people say, I miss your auntie, or I miss Delma. She was good friends with Steve Cockney, Ernie Bernhardt, CK. Anytime there was something to do with Arctic sports going on, she was there.
Do you have a favorite memory of Auntie Delma and the Northern Games?
Yeah, actually, when going back to my beginning there, when I won the jigging contest in 1980, I believe it was. I was 2.5 years old, and I was presented my gold medal by Delma Cassoon and Edward Lenny. And I looked for that picture for years, and I came across it the other day, and it brought back so many memories. And then just to see her former athletes out here officiating, being a part of the Arctic sport, it makes me feel really happy that I know that her legacy will live on, not only through her family, but through people that she touched.
There's a big piece of the games about that intergenerational knowledge, passing on to the next generation. Can you tell us a bit about how you see that legacy being passed on to the next generation and carried by them?
Well, like I mentioned, I see it in her athletes. Yesterday, I was really happy to see Kyle Kaptan up there officiating and doing the stuff that she did. And also, I try to instill that in my children. Now, my granddaughter, hopefully that they'll carry that on. Usually when we volunteer, it's a family thing. It's not just one of us, it's the whole family. Here today in Tuck, we have my Uncle Jerry, my mother, myself, my daughter, and my granddaughter. So that's 5 generations of Cassoons involved in the Northern Games.
Please make your way up.
Sorry.
Right on, Boris. Welcome. How are you feeling today? Right on, man. Good to have you here.
What's
Welcome
the best
home,
piece of advice your Auntie Delma ever gave you?
Okay,
The best
we're
piece
looking
of
for
advice
Brian Kickwak from
is never
Country
take anything
Outlook.
too serious.
Is he
She
here?
was never a serious person, didn't have a mean bone in her body. She just
Okay, we're gonna
always
get
took
started
everything
here
as it was.
momentarily, and,
Always made it work.
right after the,
Always made everything work. She had her own unique way of doing things, and she always told us, don't ever give up on anything that you're doing. And everything that you do, you give it your 100%.
Okay, we're gonna wait for him. Okay, we're not gonna let him.
I wonder if you're willing to comment on this, and you don't have to. Sometimes Donald talks about the Northern Games teaching skills for being on the land. Do you have any piece of advice for these young people about how they can take what they learned from the games and use it on the land?
Yes. Even with the Arctic sports, your agility, your strength, those are all stuff that you need to be out in the land. I live out in the land practically year round. With my family, we're always out harvesting, and you need those skills. It's not only about learning to make a fire or learning to make a shelter. You need to have the strength, the agility, the knowledge, anything that you learn here, these are skills that you'll need to be out in the land, because it's not easy. Out there, there's a lot of obstacles that you can run into, things that could happen, and if you don't have these skills, it'll be hard to survive.
Do you think that the Northern Games can help keep young people safe when they're out on the land?
Yes, especially with the traditional events. Learning how to skin a beaver, or seal skinning, muskrat skinning, geese plucking. You want to hunt geese. You're a young boy. You want to hunt geese. You bring home 100 geese. Who's going to pluck them? If you don't know how to pluck them, you're going to waste all those geese. And I was always taught never waste any animals. So, those are skills that you need, and especially bannock making, tea boiling, just those events. And then even with the athletic events, like I mentioned, you need strength to haul wood, haul water, all those kind of things. And it's good for the youth to learn those, because as Junior mentioned before, some of these children their great-grandparents were involved in the Northern Games. You have Bertha and Billy Rubin's children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren, and probably even great-great-grandchildren who are involved in Northern Games. Jane Charlie from Fort McPherson, her family. And that was, we were talking earlier as a committee, and we were talking about how, Jane Charlie and Bertha Rubin being involved in the Good Woman competitions, that they helped bridge that gap between the Gwich'in and the Inuvialuit, and bringing us, building that connection between us. Our family too is half Vantaquichin from Old Crow, Yukon. My grandmother was a Vantaquichin from Old Crow, Yukon, and she met my dad, and that's where we come from.
We're so happy that some participants came from Sigachik and Fort McPherson.
Yes.
If there was any Gwich'in young people who are thinking to get involved with the Northern Games, but maybe felt a little shy or were just wondering about it, what would you say to them?
I would say, try it out. You never know unless you try. And there's nothing to be shy of. Nobody's going to laugh at you. What we try to encourage at the Northern Games is always try. I remember Edward Lenny always telling us, there's no such word as I can't. I always try something once. I actually tried once with my Auntie Dalma. She tried to get me into high kicking, and I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. And I said, I'm not a high kicker. I'll be your scorekeeper, but other than that, I'm not.
Did you ever jump in any of the other events?
Glad you're able to make it.
Not really. Mostly just working, volunteering the games, and being a part of like the behind the scenes, planning, keeping score, all those kind of things.
I know that you stress the importance of those good man, good women events. What does it mean to you to be a good woman?
To be a good woman, every woman is a good woman. But to be a good woman is, to, like I said, always just try, and it's good that they're doing these events and they're involving the elders, to have an elder on their team. And that's what we mean about learning from your elders. And it's just so important. It's important all around to have those events, those kind of events, to teach these young people that this is what our people do. This is how we do it. This is, this is important to us. This is part of the Northern Games.
Some of the elders say now that the land is a little bit different now than it was when they were young.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that the Northern Games can help these young people to adapt to some of those changes on the land?
Yes. Nowadays, there's Starlink, there's cell phones, there's iPads, and those are things that we didn't have when I was growing up. If we said we were bored, we either had to haul water, split wood, bring in wood. If we were in town and we said we were bored, we had to clean the whole house. There were things, we always had to find something to do. And nowadays, kids have it so easy. People have it so easy. People worry about, material things when we could be living But with the high cost of living too, is the price of gas and groceries is so outrageous that it makes it hard for people to go out in the land, and a lot of people don't. Some people don't have the skills that they need to be out in the land. That's why it's so important, I think, for the youth to learn now rather than learn when they're older.
Okay, I'm gonna try. I can try it. Okay.
And so, what would your
guys gonna
best
buy me
advice
lunch?
be to these
Okay, cool.
young
What
people
about
for
supper?
taking the skills from the Northern Games into those other parts of their lives?
We have
My
French
advice would be,
chili
if
and
you
a
have a
donut
chance to
and
go
our
out in the
coleslaw
land
food, and it's hot.
or help out
It's
an elder,
hot.
they'd be happy to know that, oh, I could make
We
you
have
bannock,
fresh
or I could
breakfast,
make you
muffins,
tea,
and
or,
donuts as well over
I'm
at the
able to haul in
Country
wood
Food
for
Jack
you,
that's
and
North
just those
Hotel.
things,
We are
always
gonna
try
give it a
something
try,
once
okay?
and have respect for each other. Your
I need
elders
that
are
boiled
very,
cake
very
in my
important.
body so I can be
Have
fit.
respect for them, and to learn as much as you can. Your phone is always going to be there. Your iPad's always going to be there. The knowledge is 100% that you need to know.
And is there anything else you'd like
Hey,
to
folks,
share
here
about
you
your
want this,
auntie,
Junior
or
Captana.
and about another
Junior
thing?
Captana out of
I just want to share that,
Tapia.
she, like I said, she was so beautiful.
This guy's tough, man.
She absolutely loved the Northern Games. She
Yeah,
loved
we
Arctic
know he's
sport.
tough.
She loved everybody she came into contact with. And one message that I want to leave on, not only on behalf of myself, but on behalf of my family, is if you're out there boating, wear a life jacket. Life jackets save lives.
Way you go, Junior. Way to go. Wow.
Can I ask you one more thing?
Junior.
So,
Good one, Junior.
if there's anyone who feels maybe a little proud or a little too cool to do the things to keep them safe, what would you have to say to them?
Sorry, folks. I really tried, and holy.
It's
man,
kind of hard to
that's
answer that
tough.
question, because I would
give all the
probably, when I
credit
see
to
people
all the
not wearing a
athletes
life
who are joining
jacket,
us here,
it
and,
really upsets me, because
Thank you for putting all that effort
I
in.
was that
So-
person at one time. Before that accident happened, I
Oh, yeah, I had no
used to
gas,
sit on a life jacket or just have it in the boat,
couldn't
because
go far.
I trusted my father so
Right
much.
on.
I trusted,
Okay, let's get started here.
my
We're gonna
uncles,
start off
and I
with,
still do to this day.
Tegan Taptana
Um,
from Ulahanta.
But had life jackets been involved, my aunt
Taptuna.
would have been here today. She would have been
And one heck of a good fiddle player, folks.
64 years old
Tegan's been up here for the
had
last
she
few
been
nights
alive. And
playing that fiddle. And last night that
my
music
cousin was 7
sounding
years
pretty
old.
good After the Beluga
Too
boys,
young,
after
too
their,
small, too soon.
After their
So wear a
concert
life
that they
jacket.
put on for you. Great, really great.
And one thing
entertainment
that I
this kid.
learned is it takes
Not only with
not only a child, but any
doing,
person 35 seconds to put
Keegan,
on
the
a
fiddle
life jacket.
player, look at that. He's a
So would you
great,
rather spend
athlete. Look at
35
your
seconds
part
putting
in,
on a life jacket,
airplane.
or lose your life? Common sense.
Try to put your thumb inside there, Tegan.
Yes, there
It's
you
a
go.
really powerful message, and I can tell that it comes from
Holy smokers.
a lot of
on,
love
Tegan.
and care for all our community members for their safety.
Go, Tegan.
Right on.
Thanks for sharing.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Good for now.
Well, one of my goals
Okay,
for the
we're done.
next game is to